In 2023, the Securities and Exchange Commission handed a single individual $279 million. No trial, no press conference, just a wire transfer to someone whose name we will never know. That person saw something inside a company, reported it to the right government office, and collected the largest whistleblower award in SEC history, nearly 3 times larger than any award paid out before it. This is not a story about luck. It is a story about a program most investors have never heard of. Built deliberately, funded by the fines it generates, and specifically designed to make financial fraud impossible to hide. Today we are reading the actual program rules, the actual award decisions, and the actual cases, not the headlines. Let's get into it. The SEC Whistleblower Program was created by the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act in 2010. Before that, the SEC had a much older, much weaker tip program that paid almost nothing and attracted almost no one. After the financial crisis exposed how much fraud had been hiding in plain sight, Congress decided to rebuild it from scratch. The new design had 3 core features that made it different from every prior attempt. First, mandatory minimum awards. If a whistleblower's tip leads to an enforcement action that results in sanctions over $1 million, the SEC is legally required to pay between 10 and 30% of what it collects. This is not discretionary. The SEC cannot decide not to pay. The statute compels it. Second, anonymity. Whistleblowers can submit tips through an attorney without ever disclosing their identity to the SEC at any point in the investigation. Their identity is only revealed at the time of award collection, and even then, the SEC is prohibited from publicly disclosing who they are. Third, anti-retaliation protection. Any employer who fires, demotes, harasses, or discriminates against an employee for making an SEC whistleblower submission faces a separate federal cause of action. Damages include double back pay, reinstatement, and attorney fees. Companies have paid substantial settlements for exactly this. Now let's talk about the mechanics. A person submitting a tip uses Form TCR, the tip, complaint, or referral form. This form asks for specific information: the nature of the potential violation, the time period, the individuals involved, any documents or evidence, and the basis for the submitter's knowledge. That last field is important. The SEC does not want anonymous speculation. They want original information, meaning information derived from the submitter's independent analysis or information not already known to the SEC that is not derived exclusively from public sources. This is why most successful whistleblowers are insiders, former employees, accountants, compliance officers, people who had access to information that the SEC could not find on its own. After a tip is submitted, the SEC's Office of the Whistleblower reviews it. If it meets the threshold, it gets routed to the relevant division, typically enforcement. From there, the investigation timeline varies enormously. Some cases move in months, others take years. The SEC does not notify the whistleblower how the investigation is proceeding. When an enforcement action results in sanctions over $1 million, the whistleblower can file a claim for an award. The SEC then evaluates the claim against specific factors spelled out in the statute. Award increasing factors include the significance of the information to the investigation, the degree of assistance provided by the whistleblower, and whether the whistleblower reported internally before going to the SEC. Award decreasing factors include the whistleblower's culpability in the misconduct, unreasonable delay in reporting, and interference with internal compliance systems. The $279 million award announced in 2023 involved a case where the tip provided information the SEC had no other way to obtain. The individual cooperated extensively with investigators over a multi-year period, and the resulting enforcement action produced over $1 billion in sanctions. The SEC's award decision in that case, which you can read publicly on the SEC website with the whistleblower's identity redacted, noted that the information was, quote, essential to the success of the covered action, and that without the tip, the investigation would not have proceeded. Since the program launched in 2012, the SEC has paid out more than $1.9 billion in whistleblower awards to more than 400 individuals. The average award has grown significantly each year. In the first 5 years of the program, no single award exceeded $50 million. In the last 3 years, multiple awards have exceeded $100 million. This growth is not coincidental. It reflects 2 things. Enforcement actions are getting larger, and the quality of tips is improving as more attorneys specialize in whistleblower representation and coach clients on how to build airtight submissions. And here's the detail most people miss. The program is not limited to U.S. citizens or U.S. employees. The SEC has paid awards to whistleblowers in more than 70 countries. If a fraud involves a company that has securities listed in the United States, employees anywhere in the world can be eligible. regardless of where they live, work, or what passport they hold. Let's put this together. The SEC Whistleblower program is a mandatory payment structure that requires the government to share between 10 and 30% of what it collects with the person who helped it collect it. A protection framework that makes employer retaliation a separate federal offense with significant damages. And a global program that has paid out nearly $2 billion to over 400 people since 2012. If you work in finance, compliance, legal, or accounting, and you want to understand what information the SEC is actively seeking, the form, TCR instructions, and the Office of the Whistleblower's annual report are public documents. They tell you exactly what the SEC considers actionable, what they consider noise, and what they have been prioritizing in recent years. Links to those documents are in the description. Next video, how the SEC actually catches insider trading, and the digital paper trail that makes it almost impossible to hide. That one drops Friday.